We got Ohio State next. Got to focus on them. Go watch film. We're gonna talk about how we're gonna prep, and that's what I'm trying to do right now. As a team, I believe that we don't think about the NCAA tournament right now. We just want to play like the number 35 team at the bottom. That's what I mean. That's what I mean by that. So yeah, we don't try to think ahead of us, but just stay in the moment.
Welcome in on this Friday, Super Bowl weekend.
Now let me welcome everybody to
you better believe that Dr. Dre is going to be coming out at halftime to this song right here.
Your eardrum like a slug to your chest, like a vest for your Jimmy in the city of sex.
It's going to be a lot of fun, you know. I'm looking forward to the game. I'm looking forward to halftime. I'm looking forward to the whole thing, and so. We'll have some Super Bowl stuff that we'll get to at the end of this broadcast, but we're going to get to a lot of Michigan here. Welcome in, Maize and Blue Review. TMBR Afternoon Live is we're set to kick off here on this Friday Super Bowl weekend. And, you know, like last night, Michigan got a fabulous win. And, you know, with the win, it is, I think it's gave everybody a little bounce in their step from what I've been able to gather and just notice around town here. And that's what will happen when you go out there and have a big time win like Michigan had last night. And, you know, it was one of those wins, you know, that came out of nowhere. And I think that's why, you know, you're sitting here and I'm sitting here the next day and, you know, you're still like, wow, that really happened. You know, Michigan go out there and put it all together here in the stretch run and show what they really could do if they played together and played desperate, played as a team and all those kind of things. Now with 8 games to go, are they really ready to go? And, you know, they've put themselves, you know, you look at the bracketology, they, you know, you have, well, are they in or out? And then you say, okay, well, they're out. And you're like, well, are they getting into that play-in game? You know, that's Michigan State, which, you know, technically has you in. No, they weren't in that subset. They weren't in the next 4 out. They weren't even in the next 4 out of that. But, you know, they were in the other group. And now they have been moved into the next 4 out. So that's where they're at right now. And you know what? If you'd have told me before the season, you'd be sitting around jumping around about being on the next 4 out bubble, and said, boy, things would have been going really bad. But that's where it's at. And, you know, the thing is that all these games being played right in a row here, you get Michigan, you know, back at it again, where they're going to play tomorrow already against Ohio State at 6. And that's going to be pretty cool as well. So a lot, you know, with the basketball team, with that happening last night and them being able to get that victory. We'll talk about that. We got a little bit of football. We got a Michigan recruiting spotlight. We got a lot out here on this Friday afternoon live to talk about. The audio you heard right there at the beginning of the broadcast.
We got Ohio State next. Got to focus on them. Go watch
film. That's Musa Diabate.
We're going to talk about how we're going to prep. And that's what I'm trying to do right now.
And, you know, Musa Diabate came out. You know, Musa Diabate is a 5-star. And, you know, if it wasn't for Caleb used to be the top 10 guy, everybody would talk about, wow, Musa Diabate, you know, he's the highest rated player. And he's, you know, all these expectations. And, you know, and at times he's flashed where you just say, wow. Remember early in the season when he had a steal, took it the length of the floor and threw it down. It was like, you know what, this guy right here, you can see why people really like him. I mean, the athletic ability off the charts. And then really you try to pin it down. You say, well, where, you know, what kind of player is he? Where is he at his best? Talking about Diabate. And it's just like, just put him out there and let him go. You know, he pretty much can do anything. You know, he's that kind of athlete. You know, he spearheads the full court pressure. You know, they got him out there at 7-1 and, you know, his arms going everywhere. But, you know, last night was his best game in the maize and blue. And, yeah, Michigan played their best game this season from front to back. At halftime, I was out there. This is the best game of the half, but or this was the best half of the season. And Moussa Diabate played his best game. Devontae Jones, Michigan point guard, he played his best game. You want to make a case that Caleb Houston, he shot the ball well. Speaking of shooting the ball well, Hunter Dickinson shot the ball well. And Hunter Dickinson, he's elevating his game as well. And, things, whether or not it's come together, it all came together last night. Can they take it to tomorrow? We'll find out about that. But exciting stuff, at least, to think about. Yeah, you look forward to the tournament. You look forward before that to the Big Ten tournament. But now Michigan, their place isn't secure. This is their tournament now because they need to win games to be able to get in there. And, that's the thing when you're looking at Michigan and talking about them getting in. So, they're in the next four, but if you look just at their tournament chances here, they're currently 12-9 and 6-5 in the Big Ten. They need to finish the regular season 4 games above 500, and they have those 8 games to go. So if you can break it down, they can only afford to lose 3 of these final 8 games. Because if they do go 5-3, that will put them at 17-12. They go 4-4. You suddenly start adding that up. If my math is right, 16-13, only 3 games above. They can't lose 4 games. They lose 4 games, and they're not going to get in. And 17 puts them on the bubble anyways. And I think let's just say that they do go 5-3, and if they do go 5-3, yeah, like the things that you do, you look at them. Like I looked at Ken Pom. Michigan's up to what 26. Michigan State's at 25. OSU it's 21. This reminded me when Michigan beat Indiana. All of a sudden, you're looking at the net rankings, you're looking at the Ken Pom, a victory on the road in the Big Ten, a victory against the top 3 team. It really gives you a jolt, not just as a fan base, but through the the rankings and all the different metrics that are being used here. The net goes from 47 to 30, and so that all looks good. But you know what? They can only lose 3 more games, and you just look at the rest of the month. And my hope is that they can get to March with a chance where they don't have to win all 3. And so to do that, I'm looking at these the rest of the games here in February. They have Ohio State tomorrow. Thursday, it's Iowa. And then they got Wisconsin, Rutgers, and Illinois. They've got to, in those games, I want to put 1 loss into March. That means they can only lose 2 of these. So they've got to go 3-2. So that means, how about beat Ohio State? And then I think going to Iowa, that would be great, to get off of that 2-0 run, because if they can only lose 2 of them a week from Super Bowl Sunday, Wisconsin, that seemed like it would be a tough one. And I think Illinois, even though that game's at home, will be a tough one. But hey, I thought last night was going to be a tough one. So if you're trying to determine whether Michigan's going to get in or not, what's going to happen, I think the easiest thing for you to do, and yeah, you somebody that likes the numbers and likes the metrics, that's great. I like all that stuff too, and talking about it. But just hold up 3 fingers, because that's how many losses they can afford. Any more than that, they're not going to make it. Take it from me. They will not make the NCAA tournament if they lose more than 3 games. Now, they end up going 5-3. It puts them on the bubble, and then you are going to start talking about net rankings. And you know what, Michigan State, they had where they had a 61 time, but in the net rankings. But there are all of these kind of things will come into play in RPI. But the good news is that the Big Ten, and especially in these remaining games that Michigan has, a lot of these teams are ranked. I think their Ken Pom and their RPI and their net rankings, I think those will all be really good. So I think they'll have a really nice chance. But the one thing, even if they do go 5-3, you can't be sitting here on Selection Sunday and be all up in the air like, oh my God, James Madison. I don't even know if they could be in the tournament. How can this team? How's Huckabuck State get in over Michigan? It's like it can happen. So you will put yourself a little bit in jeopardy here. That's where you get to the Big Ten tournament, and you don't want to be one and done, even if you're 5-3. But that's a little bit further down the road. You start talking about like all of this. They could lose the rest of their games, and then they could go to the Big Ten tournament. And they could win that, and they would get in. So you always remember that. But I would still look at their tournament chances. Where at this time yesterday, I would have said they were out. I have now put those tournament chances right here. That's how big of a win that was yesterday. I'm not right there yet, but I'm right here. And if they can win 5 out of these 8, I think that they will be able to get in. So that was great, for Michigan being able to do that last night and being able to get that victory. Now, how about storming the court? I'll put that video up. Let's do it again. Here they are out there at the Chrysler Center last night. And, I watched the game, and, afterwards I saw them, the students, and it's mostly students, right? Maze and the Maze Rage streaming out onto the court. And, Michigan just beat the number 3 team in the country. It's like, yeah, heck yeah, you storm the court, especially in the manner that they did it. And you know what? You got all these restrictions. If you're even going down to a ball game, you gotta have your card. You've got to wear a mask. I mean, you got to do all of this. And then lo and behold, I find out, you go to Twitter and there are people like, well, Michigan, what's Michigan fans storming the court? Act like you've been there before. Act like you got a clue. I mean, even some of the Michigan homers are like, I don't like storming the court. You don't like storming the court? What's wrong with you? I mean, what harm does storming the court do? Nothing. It does nothing. The thing about act like you've been here before, act like you've been where before? You know what? I don't know if you've been watching or not, but Michigan's having a hard time drawing fans. So now you're going to you want the fans that you want to be engaged and you want to be excited about the team, and they get you're not going to get home till midnight or something. Like, I don't know, students, that it might be okay. Maybe they got an early class, but still, I mean, you know how it is. These late night tips, like you got to work the next day. It's tough, going to a game but boy, it's a basketball school. But now I got people that are like, Michigan Twitter, or boy, this guy, he is Michigan Twitter or whatever else. And, and he's crying about it. Stop the crying about, storming the court. There should be absolutely no issue from anybody about that, especially considering, what you have when you're talking about where Michigan's been. But what about the preseason? They were supposed to win the Big Ten, and now you're talking about storming the court. I'd storm the court tomorrow if they won the game over Ohio State. And you know what? A little bit of it would have to do with football. And a lot of it would have to do with it being Ohio State. Another piece of it would have to do with them being ranked. Another part would be getting another big-time win over a ranked team and looking like they've turned the corner. So, yeah, I would storm the court tomorrow if I was down there. And nobody should be, because Michigan fans shouldn't. Do I understand Michigan State fans, taking to Twitter and acting like Michigan State fans? I understand that. Same thing with Ohio State fans. But the Michigan fans, the ones that were like, I don't like this. Like, come on. Here's the clue, for you. Buy it if you want to do that. And I know this about storming the court. I thought about this. There have been my first 2 games, the first basketball game that I ever went to, and the first football game that I ever went to. The first basketball game I went to, it ended up being the same year, but football was first. Michigan beat Iowa. It was 1986. I was 15 years old. I was sitting the section over from the student section. Right next to it, actually, right on the aisle, right across the aisle, student section. And Michigan won that game in a last-second field goal from Mike Gillette. And the student section just poured out on the field. I was standing next to my friend, and he said, let's go. So I ran out onto the field, and I remember that part. I don't know, what I did out there on the field, but all the years later, I tried to remember, like, what happened in that game? Mike Gillette kicked the field goal. I ran out of the field. That's what I remember. Now, YouTube has the games just this, during the pandemic, I went back and actually watched that game. And so, I know a lot more about it then, but initially the only thing I remembered was going out on the field, and Michigan won it at the end. The basketball team. Now, this was 86. Now, it was the regular season finale, and they ended up going back-to-back, winning Big Ten championships. You can say, okay, you understand why you would storm the court. Indiana was a ranked team. Michigan blew them out. I remembered that. I know I wasn't sitting in the gold seats because I didn't sit there for a long time. So I was in the gold. I wasn't in the blue. But you know what I remember about that game? Nothing, except that it was a blowout and that I went down to the court. And I remember standing under the basket. There was a player from Grand Rapids named Guard Thompson that was on the team, and I gave him a high five. Those were my memories. I got people saying, hey, let's act like you've been there before. Like, what do you, if Michigan gets to the point where they're cutting down the nets and winning championships, and where you could take a victory over a number 3 team and just be like, okay, that was nice. Let's move on. Let's just, get to the next game. Let's act like we've been there before. Come on. So it was, I think for about 10 minutes online, there's a lot of faux outrage. People need something to be outraged about. And there's a little bit of faux outrage about Michigan. And a lot of it was driven by the rivals and, back and forth. And but come on. When I saw some Michigan people agreeing with them, it's like, oh boy, here we go. It's okay to rush the court. Even tomorrow, it's okay. Take it from me. You can do it. All right. That's what I saw, when it came down. We got a tweet time here. And the first tweet is from Tim McCormick, former Wolverine, who tweeted out this morning. You can see at 8:17 this morning. It is Friday, February 11th. Tim, proud of Michigan basketball. They've won 6 of 8. They look like an NCAA team. Hunter was an All-American last year, and he's better now. 2 weaknesses, perimeter D and threes were strengths last night. You've shown your potential. Don't relax. Beat the Buckeyes. That's coming in from Tim McCormick. A tweet from Tim. The alliteration continues as we go to a tweet from TRACY. TRACY Wolfson, Michigan grad, sideline reporter, always working with Jim Nance and Tony Romo. Although Tony Romo couldn't say her name the other game here in the playoffs. TRACY Wall, and you know what? You see it a few times, and I think you have to get, even though it's, I think you get Romo's back a little bit because Wolfson is not the easiest name to say. But here's a tweet from TRACY last night. That was a fun one to watch. Just a huge win for Michigan over Purdue. And they didn't just win, they dominated. Hope this is a sign of things to come in March. She's got some hashtags, Go Blue and Michigan there in this tweet from TRACY. There you go, TRACY. TRACY Wolfson. All right. That takes us from basketball to football. A little bit of news from Michigan on the football side, and it comes from a hire yesterday, and we give you another tweet, and this one's from Adam Schefter announcing the Michigan hire from yesterday. Jags exec Tom Gamble joining Jim Harbaugh's staff for the 3rd time and becoming Michigan's director of player personnel. Gamble is a respected personnel executive who spent over 30 years in the NFL. Tom Gamble worked with Harbaugh in San Francisco, at Michigan, and now again at Michigan. Gamble spent last season as the Jags senior personnel executive, but wanted to be around Harbaugh and chose to go back to Ann Arbor. All right. Well, you say, well, is this good news? I'm just going to tell you because I feel like, this is something that I've done this week myself. Tom Gamble, 30 years of experience, personnel. Harbaugh knows him. Great hire. It sounds like a great hire. 30 years of experience. And yet, here I was, talking about whether it was Grant Newsome. Great hire. Been on the staff, worked hard, time to be elevated. Great hire. Jesse Minter, SEC defensive coordinator, young guy in his third, but great hire. Everybody's, it's become a little bit like, great, this guy's a great hire, that guy's a great hire. And look, you get to a point here where, you're at a Division I and Big Ten school like Michigan, and Harbaugh's out there. You know what? Almost everybody is going to bring in, you're going to look and you say, hey, you can see what he's doing. Like, personnel guy, looks like a great hire. Coaches with experience, analytics, wherever they're at, great hire. Mike McDonald last year, he ended up being a great hire, but he had never called a game before, so there was some unknown there. And with Michigan having to replace two coordinators, maybe they've got this right, and it looks like these guys are deserving. But Tom Gamble does look like a great hire. Now, is it a gamble we're taking? As this longtime exec replaces Courtney Morgan. I was just looking at the Jags website. 30 years in the NFL. He was a CFL's GM of the Alouettes. Player personnel at Michigan for a few years, so he knows the lay of the land. Was out there with Harbaugh, so there shouldn't be any, the issues. These guys know each other. And he was in Philly. The Eagles going back to 2013. I mean, he's got, if you're looking for experience here and somebody that knows Harbaugh, it seems like, let's all say it together, it seems like a great hire, for Michigan. So I think they've done the job here, and I like it. All right. We move in here next. Okay. We can add this one here. All right. There we are. We're going to do things a little bit differently here. We got the Michigan Recruiting Spotlight, got the Memorabilia Minute, and what I wanted to show you is my my memorabilia here. Every day for 1 minute, I put something out there memorabilia-wise. And truth be told, overall, I'm a Lions fan, which I don't have a whole lot of memorabilia, Super Bowl memorabilia. What would I have? They've never sniffed a Super Bowl. But I did find that I had a Super Bowl program from Super Bowl 25. I showed that earlier in the week. But what I found here is that a long time ago, and I don't know what it was like for you if you're around 50 years old. I'm 51. But I grew up in Detroit and Brightmoor. And everybody on my block, we all liked the Lions. The Lions weren't any good, and they weren't in the playoffs much in the 70s, if at all. I don't remember that early 70 playoff game where they lost to Dallas, I think 5. I don't remember that one. So they weren't in the playoffs, and they got in there a little bit. They missed a kick against San Francisco. That was huge. But you know who was in the Super Bowl all the time? Everybody on my block either liked the Steelers or they liked the Cowboys. And guess what? I like the Cowboys, and I think from around 77 to 88. I liked Michigan the most, but I liked the Dallas Cowboys as much as I liked anything. Every year they were in the playoffs. They were America's team. But you know what? I don't remember them actually beating the Broncos for that, like in 78 for that Super Bowl. I remember them losing to the Steelers. I remember playoff losses to the Eagles, to the Rams, to the Bears. 49ers, right down the list. Excruciatingly painful losses. And then I swore them off. In 88, when Jerry Jones came in and he fired Tom Landry, I said, I'm done. I don't like the Cowboys anymore. I don't like this general manager. He's a jerk. I love Tom Landry. But when I worked in radio in Ann Arbor, I gave that pretty much same spiel, and I had a listener give me this cowboy. Let's see if I can blow that up. I can. So it's a picture of Dallas. It's a ticket stub that is just framed here. But if you look through it, the Cowboys have been to 5 Super Bowls. The first one, Roger Staubach, you can see over in the left corner. There's the ticket is of the cover of the Super Bowl, and then whatever happened like for the MVP. I should say the Cowboys have won. They've been to more than 5 Super Bowls. They have won 5 Super Bowls. So here are all their wins. Here's the other one that they had where they had 2 defensive players named MVP. Here, and then here come the the triplet years. There's Aikman, there's Emmett, and who's this against the Steelers the last time? That's Larry Brown. And this, would I like this to be signed by my favorite Cowboy of all time, Tony Dorsett? Yes. Drew Pearson, who would be up there in my top 5. Roger Staubach, Everson Walls. I would have taken any of those guys before, but Eric Bjornsson is the signature that I have here. And, that was given to me by a listener a long time ago. I do have the actual picture. I took the picture because a lot of times you can't see because of the glare, but we're going to go ahead and try it anyways and see. Here's what the actual one is. And you get that Super Bowl actual size. Not all that bad. I had this up on the wall of the garage at one point, but, it just sits downstairs. It's big. The letter on the back, Cowboy Nation. Not that big of a Cowboy fan anymore, but you know what? For the Cowboys, they hadn't been to a Super Bowl since. It's been a long time. So it's held its value that way when it comes down to what's happening there. All right. That's the memorabilia minute. Let's get to the Michigan recruiting spotlight, which I think is you're gonna like today. And this one has to do with let's see here. It comes from a Michigan commitment and a kicker from Ann Arbor Pioneer, Adam Samaha. Samaha. He committed a while back. And currently, he is playing basketball, and he had a great week as he had a great shot. And on the basketball court, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can run this one for you. See if I can get that one up there. So I'm going to have to push play. All right, it's playing now. Now I can get it to you. Might take me one more second to run through this. Here it is. 3 clicks and a 1 and a 2. And here he is making a big time shot here for his team. Let's bring it up. Well, this might be the other video. I'm not really sure where that one came from. Let's try this again. Let's just try this one again. Sometimes I don't know what this video is. Not a bad one, but not actually the one I was looking for. Sometimes you have these. Oh, all right. I'm going to be able to do it here. And I'm just going to have to take it right from. How's everybody doing out there today? I don't see anybody leaving any comments here yet. Who do you like in the Super Bowl? I'll be giving you my thoughts. I have placed a couple bets, which I will share with you coming up. Let's see here. So this is it. This is the shot. I'll make it big. Here it is. So this is Adam cranking this one up from, let's see, he's not even at half court. Bang! The winner. It's a pretty good video here. I mean, like the we got him storming. Hey, don't storm the court. You know, rats, act like you've been there before. The agony of defeat there. I felt bad here. I'm going to have to watch it one more time. The young man for the other team, you know, you get the winner, which is nice and everything. But, you know, the young man on the other team, you know, you felt for him here at the free throw line when he goes down to one knee. But this is a hell of a shot. I mean, like, let's look at this one more time. Fires this one up. That's it. I mean, he's got a guy on him. Boom. Let's go. Don't run. They're running on the court. Now take it from Michigan. You know, you're not supposed to do that. I feel so bad for the kid there in the middle. Somebody's getting married here in the next video. Congratulations. There it is. Adam Sabaha. And you know what? It was a 3-pointer from a long ways away. And you know what? When you're a field goal kicker, and that's how you're that's going to be what you're known for. 3-pointer. All kind of gets in there. There you go. Jim Bell telling everybody he didn't like storming the court. Go ahead. Storm it. That's it. All right. We still have more for you here. It is the Super Bowl tomorrow. And, I'm a stepdad. And before I was a dad, I always remembered like I'd do radio shows and then you'd start talking about the Lions. Inevitably, at some point, everybody, I hate that team. I don't like that team. But there would always be the people like, I got to blame my dad. He got me to like the Lions and, we watched the games together, all those kind of things. I mean, you've heard of all of the stories. And then when I got married, my wife, she had 2 kids. One was 4 and the other one was 7. And they were huge Lions fans. I mean, their grandfather had season tickets. They went to the games, like big time Lion fans. I mean, you put them up there with Michigan. Like they like Michigan, they like the Lions. Those were the teams. But I always said that I would tell my kids that they shouldn't like the Lions, that, don't put yourself through it. The ownership's terrible. Just don't give them your time. Don't give them your fandom. They will burn you. It won't be worth it. And what I did is I made that, I kind of emphasized that to these kids that were gigantic Lion fans. I'd say, don't like them. And, my son, I would even take, my stepson, I would drop him off at, when he was going to go down, I was doing post game, for the Lions. I'd drop him off, he was going to the games. And his grandpa said, he's like, well, you told him not to like the Lions. I'm like, I told him, hey, don't get too wrapped up in him. But he liked Matt Stafford. This is the long end to that. And he continued to like Matt Stafford, but he wouldn't watch the game. So I'd say, what? Because they were, they're losing all the games. He'd get so upset. I'd say, that's it. You shouldn't. Don't be emotionally invested in the Lions. And then he started going upstairs during the games. And then once in a while, he'd peek down like, hey, how are they doing? Like, what do you think they're losing? How's Stafford doing? He's doing okay. So the point is he stayed a Stafford's fan, but over the years, slowly drifted away from the Lions. Didn't watch the games anymore with us. And it worked. It worked. Stepson's now 19 years old. You know what? He hasn't watched a Lions game in years. He might have went to one a few years ago with his dad, but he doesn't care. Like the Lions can lose. Doesn't matter. Stafford got traded. He was like, hey, congratulations. They're pulling for Stafford. Everybody's pulling for Stafford on Sunday. I know people are like, why would you ever do that? But, the downside of not getting your kids addicted to a football team is that, you're like, hey, I did a great job. But then Sunday rolls around. It's like, hey, you want to watch the game? Like, yeah, it's something else going on. Oh, nobody wants to watch. And my wife's the same way. She was a huge Lion fan. I'm like, no, okay. My wife doesn't watch the games anymore either. Now, they haven't been any good. I think if they were good, that would be different. Maybe we'd watch them together. But we don't watch the Lions games as a family, and nobody likes the Lions. But we do, want Stafford to, he what he had to go through here. Remember, playing for 1 year for the Lions is like kind of like dog years. Like Stafford's like 89 years old or whatever it'd be, and so for him, I hope that he does get the Super Bowl. And having said that, the real reason I want to see him, because I put my picks in, and I was going to share a couple of them with you. Here's how I see it actually happening. I have the Rams beating the Bengals 38-31. I'm going to pick Jalen Ramsey as the MVP. I'll take the Rams, and I'll lay the 4 points. Here's a couple of the individual bets that I'm making. Cooper Kupp and anytime touchdowns, and the Rams just win, plus 105. I got that down. First TD scorer, I went with Van Jefferson. I only put $1 down. It's going to win 19. I'll take it. First TD scorer, the Michigan man, Chris Evans, for $1. If Chris Evans scores that first touchdown, $101. Let's go, Evans. And then Jalen Ramsey, I said the MVP, I'm picking him to be the MVP. I'm also putting my money down on him, $1. But if he wins, $101. Now let's recap how I want to see things play out. Let's get Chris Evans in the end zone for that first touchdown of the game. I'll be off and rolling. Let the Rams win by more than 4. Get Kupp a touchdown, and let Jalen Ramsey get a late pick 6 to get the Rams in the winner's circle, 38-31. If it ends up going down like that, drinks on the house. I'm not putting very much. I got a couple dollars on each one of those items there, but that's what I'm pulling for. That's how I see it playing out. This was not one that I sat there because if you go back 2 weeks ago after Championship Sunday, my initial read was the Bengals. But thinking about Joe Burrow weaving in and out and running all away from those Kansas City defenders like he did, incredible. Is he going to be that kind of escape artist? When you're talking about Aaron frickin' Donald and Von Miller, is he going to really be able to be the escape artist there? And you know what? I also think the home field advantage is going to be a big one here. Since he's a notoriously cheap organization, I'm surprised they flew out there and, didn't make him ride out on buses. But you know what? The Rams, they're playing at SoFi, their home stadium there. They're sleeping in their own beds. They know the routine. They've been through this. And, a couple of years ago, the Rams, 2 years ago, they were in the Super Bowl. They've got a lot of guys that have played in the Super Bowl. How many do the Bengals have? Not much. I think that's a big factor here. And when it comes down to it, personnel-wise, I think the Rams can, get it done. I'm worried about, that they don't have much of a running game. And, I give it up to Cincinnati and Joe Burrow. He's been great. But I think those are the factors. And with all of that, that's why I'm picking the Rams to win the ball game. That is my rationale. That's how I see it. All right. A reminder, if you are a Michigan fan, Michigan basketball fan, after the game tomorrow, it's a 6 o'clock tip. That means right around 8:10, 8:15 after the game's over, join me. I'll be talking about the game, everything that is. I've got the pen out. I'll be taking notes on the game. I'll grab some videos. I'll put them up. We'll talk about it. We'll see. Will Michigan win again? Will they storm the court at Chrysler? Should they? Will people be up in arms? Tell you what, there's always the energy. When the Spartans come into Ann Arbor, it's the most tense and, it's jammed to the gills, as always. And there's the Spartans that infiltrate, get into Chrysler. That happens. But Ohio State, there's also that energy. And there's a football energy in there. And knowing that what happened out on the football field back on the 27th and the 42-27 score, that energy is still going to be there. And, it's a basketball game, but the fans are going to want it to be just like football, a blowout. And, you'll be able to hear it. And hopefully they'll pack the rafters. And you know what? If Michigan wins the game, go on ahead. Go on the court. Jump around. Have some fun. Cheer on your team. And then, don't worry about what any Michigan State fans or Ohio State fans or even some snooty Michigan fans telling you to, act like you've been there before. Well, been where? Michigan hadn't beat a top 25 team this year. And if they do it again, they should storm the court again. All right. And the other thing I'm looking forward to Sunday, it's one of the advantages of getting older. You might not think there are many, and I'll admit, there doesn't seem like there's many, but one is that, some of the older, you get the music coming back, old time greats, and now you're going to have the old rappers up there, and I'm going to guarantee that they come out to this at halftime, and it's going to be fun. Guess what? Usually at halftime, I'm taking a break. I'll be there at halftime jumping around, waiting for it. Get pumped. Come on. Who? They're not going to play this one? You can sing Tupac song versus